This is part 3 of my recap on the demonic king who chases after his wife. At the end of the last episode, the Grandmaster's disciple selection event is underway, and Sue manages to qualify with the help of Jin. The next round begins, and each participant is given 15 minutes and a chest with random ingredients to create an elixir, and the top 4 will advance to the next round. They all start making their elixirs, but Sue's ingredient chest is empty. She realizes it's a test from the Grandmaster, and uses her wood element to grow her own ingredients from the chest. Everyone is impressed by her massive flame, but Sue has trouble controlling it. But she manages to save her elixir. The Grandmaster judges the level and quality of each elixir. When the results are announced, Sue is in 5th place and misses out on the next round. However, Ling withdraws, saying he has some other work to do, and Sue takes his spot. For the next round, they pick chess pieces to determine the opponent they will face. Sue draws a black piece, and when it's Shuxi's turn, a dark talisman rigs it so she is up against Sue. The next event is a deathmatch with no rules. Sue is confronted by Shuxi, who tells her she will prove she has always been the better sister. Their fight begins, and Shuxi quickly gains the upper hand as she hurls her aura towards Sue. Jin is confused how Shuxi was able to suddenly get so strong. Shuxi changes her attack, getting up close to Sue. She enhances her limbs with her aura, and lands a kick on Sue, sending her flying. Shuxi summons her familiar, the Midnight Jaguar. Sue struggles to defend against both Shuxi and her beast, so she ends up summoning Meng to help her fight. He declares himself to be the mighty dragon, and commands the jaguar to kneel. Shuxi is shocked, but continues her attack. She charges up her power, while Sue combines her wood and fire elements to create a whip. However, it's not enough to break through Shuxi's attack. Shuxi begins to celebrate, but Sue takes out her elixir and eats it. It gives her a surge in power as her hair begins to glow. Shuxi mocks her, claiming that her elixir won't help her. But Sue activates her space magic, destroying Shuxi's magic and creating her own field. The entire crowd bursts into applause, and Liao begins to worry as she beats her opponent. The crowd recognizes Sue as a new space magic sorcerer and cheers for her, as it's been said that another space sorcerer will bring about the next golden age. Using her power, Sue blasts Shuxi and purges her dark power. As Jin watches, he spots the shady figure that was helping Shuxi and pulls him in. The man tries to run, transforming into a crow, but Jin easily catches him. He is revealed to be a member of the Assassin's clan that has been chasing Jin since he was a boy. As Jin goes to unmask him, the man uses a technique and manages to get away. Grandmaster Hong Yin appears and explains that, because his dark energy is linked to space magic, Sue would most likely be their next target. The final event begins, and Grandmaster Hong Yin tells them about some sacred trees that create fire stones that never lose their heat. He has hidden one of these stones, and whoever can bring it back will be the winner. The two are transported away, and the others watch them in the form of chess pieces on a board. They are transported into an underground maze, but Liao recognizes where she is. They are in the underground passages beneath her family's palace. She even recalls playing here with her brother. Sue, on the other hand, is completely lost. It's pitch black, but Meng is able to detect the firestone and directs her. Meng ends up getting the firestone, which he found hidden in the wall. Liao finds them. She is able to activate the traps in the maze, dropping boulders onto Sue. Using her scarf, Liao steals the firestone from Sue and drops another boulder on them. Sue is confused why she is able to activate the traps, but Liao tells her that the Grandmaster must be helping her to win. Liao activates another trap, and Sue falls into a massive pit. Liao returns from the maze, falling into Jin, but he is only worried about Sue. Liao hands over the firestone to the Grandmaster, and as he is about to make her his disciple, they are interrupted by a woman. She is revealed to be Anne, the Mist Fairy from the demonic clan. She seems to have a strange relationship with the Grandmaster, thanking him for his help in finding a disciple. She explains that 15 years ago the Grandmaster crippled her eldest disciple and vowed to provide her with a replacement. When Liao tries to refuse, he forces her to kneel and submit to her. Meanwhile, Sue is trapped in the pit and the walls close in on her. She begins to run out of air, and Meng suggests that they escape through her inner space, but Sue tells him that her body would still get crushed. He suggests that she connect her space to another, and Sue manages to connect to the Grandmaster's space. Just as Yan is about to take Liao, Sue appears and lands on her. Liao takes the chance to offer Sue up, but Yan chooses Liao, saying she is better looking, and takes her away. With Liao gone, Su is announced as the Grandmaster's new disciple, and Su accepts him to be her master. Later, as Jin and Su are sitting by the lake, he tells her how much he will miss her, as she will be leaving to train with the Grandmaster. Jin is sad, because they just started dating, and now Su is leaving. He calculates compensation on their dating arrangement, and they agree to a 2-year extension. They promise to see each other soon, and they say their farewells. The Grandmaster and Su arrive at Yunhua's peak. He tells her about the place, but Su is not allowed to enter his house. Instead, the Grandmaster has prepared a separate area for her to train. He tells her that her potion making is so bad, it's not worth his time to teach her. So he gives her a book and tells her she needs to memorize it all. Su is surprised by the size of the book, but she tries her best to learn. After a day of memorizing, she realizes it would take years to memorize the whole book. She suddenly notices magical threads in her inner space, and Ming tells her that these are the heartstrings that give a space user their strength. As she touches one of them, they disappear, and she notices that time is distorted and everything is moving in slow motion. With this, Su will have the time to memorize the whole book. Elsewhere, Liao is ready to submit and calls Yan her master, but Yan casts a spell on Liao's face. She says it's a magic that will reveal her true appearance, but Liao is confused because she has never used face-altering magic before. Back with Su, she spends all her time studying the book, and Meng gets bored. He catches a paper crane and finds it to be a message from Jin, saying he misses Su. Ming tries to send a message back to Jin to request crystals to eat, but Jin misinterprets it as a flower from Su, and he sends a bunch of flowers back to Meng. Jin keeps thinking he is messaging Su, and Meng has enough and decides to look for the Grandmaster for food. After a month, Su has finally memorized the book. The Grandmaster tests her, telling her to find a bishao fruit, and pushes her off the cliff. Su falls down, but manages to grab onto a rope. Thanks to her studies, she is able to find the bishao fruit. It has a strange harvesting method, but as she grabs it, the Grandmaster breaks her ledge, causing her to fall again. Su focuses, and manages to open a portal. The Grandmaster congratulates her, and Su realizes he is teaching her both potion making and space magic at the same time. For her next lesson, the Grandmaster tells her she must have complete control over fire in potion making. As Su practices, the Grandmaster confuses her for someone else, but when he realizes it's just Su, he disappears, retreating back to his house in a panic. Su gathers more herbs, and is in a good mood, because she found some bellflowers, a super rare herb that can help level up a person's power. As Meng shakes the flowers around, Su smells them and becomes uneasy. She instantly enters her inner space, and is shocked when the bellflower grows rapidly. She then makes an elixir from the flower, and when she absorbs it, her power goes wild, and Meng is amazed at her improvement. Su goes to find the Grandmaster, but remembers she is forbidden from entering, but she sees a painting of a woman that moves and Su is too curious. She sees that the woman wields the same weapon as her. Suddenly the Grandmaster appears, startling Su when she accidentally cuts the painting. The Grandmaster is devastated and tells her to get lost. Su feels terrible and thinks of a way to make it up to her master. She looks in her book to find out what the painting was made of, and finds that it is composed of the leaves from the acacia tree, which can only be found in the forbidden dark forest. She is determined to make things right with her master, and makes her way to the forest. Meanwhile, Jin is cultivating and gets attacked by an assassin. Jin easily destroys his weapon and defeats the assassin, only to find that it was just Ling messing with him. They have some drinks, and Ling tells him about the events that have happened over the past year. Meanwhile, Liao reports to her master about Su's trip to the dark forest, and they quickly head out to find her. Su arrives at the dark forest. As she explores, a girl comes running out, as a golem chases after her. Su fights with the golem, attacking with her fire, but it has little effect. Su opens a portal to retreat, and the girl jumps in with her. The girl thanks Su for saving her and introduces herself as Mei. Su asks her what she is doing in the dark forest, and she says that her family is rich, and she was kidnapped. They soon get attacked by tree roots, and Su combines her fire and space magic to fight them off. Mei is amazed at Su's power, but Su gets grabbed by a root from behind and gets dragged away. Mei chases after Su, revealing she has powers, attacking with paper cranes that explode with lightning. The roots take Su to the acacia tree, and she begs to have some of its leaves. But the tree forces her to eat its fruit, and Su finds that the acacia tree has grown in her inner space. The woman from the Grandmaster's painting appears. The lady cuts her hair with her blade and ties it to the tree. She gives half her power to the tree, and then we learn that Hong Yun was her disciple. They both vanish, and a tiny baby appears. The tree looks after the baby, feeding it with its fruit. Sue recognizes that these are the memories of the tree, and it begins speaking with her. The tree says he sent the golems after her because he just wanted to meet her, recognizing she is a space sorcerer. The tree has been stuck in the forest for so long that it wants Sue to be his master, so he can travel with her using her space. Sue declines the offer, saying she already has Meng, but the tree tells her that there is no rule against having more than one follower. Meanwhile, Mei and Meng find Sue, but she is unconscious because she's in her inner space. They get attacked by Li Yao and her master. Sue gets captured, and Mei is defeated, but she manages to send off one of her cranes to get help. Sue continues to talk to the tree as he tries to sell himself for Sue to accept him, but she suddenly disappears. When she wakes up, she finds herself imprisoned by Li Yao and her master. Yin is mad at the Grandmaster for tricking her into taking Li Yao instead of Sue. Li Yao uses the face-revealing potion on Sue, and Yin goes to prepare for the Grandmaster's arrival. A mask forms on Sue's face, and Li Yao enjoys her suffering, but Sue taunts her, saying she is hiding her face because she has become ugly. There is a flashback to when Li Yao went through the process. When her mask broke off, her face was scarred but remained unchanged. Yin realizes she was tricked and offers to restore Li Yao's face if she can help her get Sue. Li Yao tells Sue there are two possible outcomes. Either her face changes and becomes the enemy of her master, or her face will also be ruined, just like her. But Sue tells her she has a way to heal her face. Meanwhile, Jin receives Mei's letter, informing him of Sue's condition, and he instantly rushes to find her. While Grandmaster Hong Yun is also notified of Sue's imprisonment. Li Yao doesn't believe Sue has a way to heal her, but as they talk, Sue quietly opens her space, and tree roots begin to spread. The roots burst out and capture Li Yao, but Li Yao tells her she will not be able to escape from her master's barrier. Sue tells Li Yao if she can help her escape, she will give her the fruit of the acacia tree, which can heal all wounds and ailments. Li Yao helps her escape, and Sue gives her the fruit. But they are unable to get through the barrier, and Yen appears behind them. Sue tries to use her space magic, but it doesn't work, because Yen has been preparing to face the Grandmaster and has prepared against his space magic. Li Yao realizes Yen never had any intention of healing her and fights against her. However, Yan's magic is too strong, and she overpowers Li Yao. Sue works out the secret behind the barrier, and with the help of the acacia tree gathering the ingredients, Sue creates a magic bell that rings and destroys the barrier. But at the same time, Sue's mask begins to break. The whole area begins to deteriorate, and they all fall down the cliff into the sea. But the tree's roots emerge and save Sue from drowning. Meanwhile, Jin and Ling arrive in the dark forest. We learn that Mei actually has the same master as Jin. She had wanted to test how strong Sue was, but things got out of control. They're not sure where Sue was taken, so they decide to split up. Jin arrives at the Twilight Mist and finds the Grandmaster is also looking for Sue. Jin confronts him, suspicious of his intentions. Ming spots a survivor in the sea, and the Grandmaster treats her. Yin is happy that the Grandmaster has finally come to visit her, and she tells him that she saw Sue's real face. She says that Sue looks nothing like him, so Sue is not his daughter. Jin comes to the realization that the Grandmaster has been pulling the strings from the beginning to get his hands on Sue, but the Grandmaster refuses to explain himself. He tells him to find Sue because she would be injured after breaking the barrier, but warns him that Sue might not be the same. Yin always thought the Grandmaster rejected her because he loved his master, but after seeing Sue's real face, she knows that was not the case and can finally move on, asking him to end her life. But the Grandmaster seals her away in a coffin that will reopen in 100 years. Meanwhile, Sue recalls all her previous identities she has used in her previous life working as an assassin. She floats on a wooden log, and a ship passes by. She gets saved, and when she wakes up, a man enters the room. She is shocked, recognizing him as Yun, her lover that betrayed her. He tells her not to be afraid, but Sue backs away from him and falls. She looks in the mirror and sees that her face has changed. Yun explains that he is the same person from her past, but this is actually her original world. He promises to tell her more if she agrees to go with him. Sue thought she would be free coming to this new world, but realizes that is not the case. Jin continues to search for her, and Sue is left wondering about her identity and her reality. But that's where this video ends. I hope you enjoyed that video. Please support me by liking and subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.